let's talk about the hidden currents that are redrawing the map of global power right under our noses. Today, we're going to explore a force that's reshaping our planet, not just environmentally, but geopolitically. We're talking about the coming climate conflict.
So let me ask you a question. When you think about the biggest threat to global peace, what pops into your head? Nuclear war? A new Cold War? Maybe a massive cyber attack that just shuts down the world economy?
Well, the real answer might be something far more fundamental. A force that doesn't care about borders and has no allegiance to any flag. You see, the greatest destabilizing force of our century might not be a weapon system at all, but the weather itself.
Now, to really get how this works, we have to stop thinking about climate change as just an environmental problem. We need to see it for what it truly is in the world of geopolitics, a hidden threat multiplier.
So what in the world is a threat multiplier? It's a pretty powerful idea. It doesn't just create conflict out of nothing. Instead, it finds all the existing fault lines in our world, the political tensions, the economic rivalries, the social unrest, and it just pours gasoline on them. It makes a bad situation worse and a tense situation explosive.
And look, this isn't some theoretical, far-off problem. It's happening right now. The facts on the ground are crystal clear. For the last 30 years, the number and sheer power of extreme weather events, we're talking droughts, floods, superstorms, they've been climbing steadily. And every single one of those events is another roll of the dice for stability in some part of the world.
But how does a hurricane or a heat wave actually lead to a war? Well, it all starts at the most basic, human level, with the fight for resources that are literally disappearing before our very eyes. Think of it like a devastating set of dominoes. It all starts with a drought that just won't end. That leads to massive crop failures. And all of a sudden, there's not enough food or water for everyone. Communities that have lived together for generations are now suddenly fighting over the last bit of fertile land or the last well that hasn't run dry. And that competition, well, it can and it does ignite violence. This is not just a guess. From Africa's Sahel to the Middle East, we are already watching this play out. And these aren't just small, isolated fights. This kind of scarcity has the power to unravel and destabilize entire regions of the world. But that instability, it doesn't just stay put. It doesn't respect borders. It spills over, carried by the most powerful force on Earth, people who are just desperate to survive.
We're not talking about a few thousand people here. We are talking about millions and potentially hundreds of millions of people forced to leave their homes simply because their environment can no longer support them. It's a human migration on a scale that our global system is just not ready for.
And this kind of mass movement kicks off a predictable and really dangerous chain of events. First, you have all these people arriving, putting this immense strain on the resources of the countries they arrive in. That pressure often fuels social tension, even xenophobia. And then, finally, border security stops being a simple domestic issue and becomes a major source of international conflict, especially between the climate-ravaged global south and the wealthier nations in the north.
Which brings us to the highest level of this crisis. As the physical map of our world is literally changing, it is creating entirely new battlegrounds for power, for competition, and for pure survival.
You know, for some countries, this is not a strategic game. It's a fight for their very existence. For small island nations, rising sea levels aren't some distant threat they can plan for. They are a death sentence that could literally wipe their entire country off the map.
Just look at this projected timeline. It is absolutely stark. Within a decade, critical infrastructure, gone. Within many of our lifetimes, most of the country is just permanently underwater. And by the end of the century, the nation itself physically ceases to exist. This raises a terrifying new question for our world. What is a country without any land?
But here is the grim paradox of our changing planet. While some nations are literally drowning, others are looking at the disaster and seeing an opportunity. As the ice caps vanish, the once frozen Arctic is opening up, and a new great game for its resources has already begun.
So what's actually at stake up there in the north? Oh, just about everything. We're talking about new, faster shipping lanes that could completely reroute global trade. Massive, untapped reserves of oil and gas. And because of that, the world's great powers are racing to stake their claims, leading to a military buildup in one of the most fragile ecosystems on the entire planet.
And that leads us to maybe the most ironic twist in this entire story. The very effort to solve the climate crisis, this global shift to green energy, is itself creating a whole new and very intense arena for geopolitical conflict.
It's a pretty stunning paradox, isn't it? For 100 years, global politics was all about who controlled the oil. Now, this race to build a green economy is just creating a brand new set of dependencies, this time on a handful of critical minerals.
See, the future of electric cars, of wind turbines, of solar panels, it all runs through minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earths. The problem is, the supply of these minerals is dangerously concentrated. It's often located in politically unstable countries, or in some cases, controlled almost entirely by a single nation. And that creates massive strategic vulnerabilities for everyone else.
So what's the point of all of this? The point is that all of it, from the fight over water to the mass migrations to the new battlegrounds, it's all leading humanity to a fundamental fork in the road.
There are two paths ahead of us, and they couldn't be clearer. On one side, you have a future defined by conflict. It's a world of resource wars, of fortified borders trying to keep desperate people out, a world of permanent global instability. And on the other side, there's a future defined by cooperation. Shared technology, aid to help vulnerable nations adapt, a real focus on sustainable development for everybody. The choice really couldn't be any more stark, and the stakes could not be higher. You see, this is no longer just about saving the planet. This is about preserving the very foundations of the global order we've all built. Which brings us to the final unavoidable question. The physical and political maps of our world are being actively, forcefully redrawn by our changing climate. The old world is fading away, and as we face this new one, what role are we going to choose to play?
At Geotectonics, our mission is to uncover these profound tectonic shifts, offering clarity in a world of complexity. If this analysis deepened your understanding, please like this video to support our work, share it with others who seek real insight, and subscribe to Geotectonics to ensure you never miss our next deep dive. We'll continue to explore the crucial geopolitical movements that define our time. Thank you for joining us.